Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a calm feeling of relaxation, and as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to close. That's it. Allowing feelings of tension, any worries to leave your body in your outward breath, and then breathing in a resourceful feeling of relaxation, enabling you to just get deeper and deeper relaxed with each and every breath. And notice that as you slow down your breathing, it feels like any echoes of any tension, worries, or just baggage from the past is able to leave your body in your outward breath, enabling you to feel more and more calm, more and more comfortable, and more relaxed. That's it. As your body relaxes, I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a beach, a beautiful beach on a beautiful day. And just imagine you're walking on that beach. On this day, it's a private beach. No one else is around. I want you to look out to the sea. And I want you to notice how calm the waves are. Just very gentle, very small waves. You can see the horizon where the sea meets the sky. Maybe even feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. And I want you to get a sense that the warmth of the sun is recharging your batteries, topping up feelings of resourcefulness, motivation, and positivity. Consider your skin like solar panels. As you absorb the warmth of that natural sunlight, you can't help but feel more positive, more optimistic, more intentional about the future. And I want you to think about your future. The future is just infinite possibilities. The great thing about the future is that anything is possible. And your choices and your actions and your thoughts and intentions start loading the dice of life to create more of those things that you truly desire and make the effort to move towards. And I want you to imagine what your future looks like 20 years from now, assuming that everything that you wanted to have happen, happened. In family, in career, in health, and in impacting the world. I want you to imagine drifting forwards in time and seeing someone that looks like you, but 20 years older, living your dream. People overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate dramatically what they can do in a decade. So what's possible in 2 decades is phenomenal. This is not the time for thinking small. This is the time for big dreams and big ideas. Imagining a future exactly as you want it to be. See the smiles, perhaps of your children, your partner, the people that you love and care for the most. I want you to see what a difference it makes to their life that you're living a life truly aligned with your values. Sometimes, when there's a square peg in a round hole, it doesn't just affect that individual, it affects all the people that care for that individual. But in this future, you're seeing a square peg in a square hole. Truly mission-focused, a visionary, someone having an impact on the world. I want you to see the place where you're having the biggest impact on the lives of people that in some way you're connected to. And that could be because you're connected face to face. But who knows what technology may exist 20 years from now? You may be impacting people all around the world in ways that you can't envision. But just get a sense that as a result of your work, your vision, your mission, lives are being empowered. People are being supported, educated, impacted in wonderfully positive ways. I want you to see that an idea that you had many years before is now in full flow. Perhaps even at this point in your life, you've become a household name for women all over the place. Perhaps you're the one that really empowered women to change how they think about childbirth and about the choices that they have. Maybe at this point in your life, you've connected more love to a process that firsthand you know love was taken away from that process. And truly connect with the idea of the level of impact. See the building, see your lifestyle, but also notice that even though you're 20 years older, look how healthy and happy and energetic and vibrant you are. Perhaps still swimming in icy cold seas. Get a sense that this is an empowered version of you. And it feels good to see that version of you. And then rewind time, perhaps 10 years before. You haven't quite got to that vision yet, but look at how much progress you've made. You've done a lot in 10 years. As you observe yourself, looking in control, inspired, motivated. Just 10 years older than you are now. But look how much you've been able to do. Look how much progress you've been able to make. The impact on the lives that you're able to get a sense firsthand. You just know because people are telling you you're making a difference. And notice that it never gets tired. No matter how many times that version of you hears it, what a difference you're making. It adds fuel to your mission. It inspires you to have even more impact. But also notice, perhaps your children 10 years older than they are now. They're witnessing firsthand someone that pursued something when many people would have settled into a life of routine and acceptance. They're witnessing someone that took a risk, that required courage, that did something that required belief, conviction, and action. Yes, you're empowering other people, but you're also empowering your children, giving them a role model that someone can go through adversity, setbacks. They can be broken, but they can rise again. Like a phoenix from the flames, they can recreate a new version of themselves that is unstoppable, and see that version of you being unstoppable. And then go back 5 years. 5 years earlier than then, and 5 years from this point in time. And then think, what did you need to do to make those longer visions of the future become attainable? What were the stepping stones required? You needed to have energy, which meant you had to eat well, look after yourself. You needed a vision, which requires positivity, motivation, but also resilience to pick yourself up after the inevitable setbacks. I want you to see that version of you 5 years from now with all of those qualities. The qualities you like most about yourself. The passion, the enthusiasm. Look how many lives you've changed through the gift of giving. Yes, you've worked with lots of people that can afford to work with you, but you've also helped hundreds that couldn't. And notice what a sense of gratitude and pride that gives you. That you're able, privileged, to impact lives. And if there is, of course, a ripple effect. Because the energy created at the very start of a life sets a trajectory that carries on throughout that person's life. So the impact that you have cascades, affecting perhaps hundreds in the short term, but in the longer term, millions. I want you to see you looking healthy and happy, having the friendships and relationships in the way that you want them, but also having that balance in life, that you enjoy your leisure time, what you do for hobbies and recreation, and yet still can be inspired and focused to do what you want to do, to empower women and men across the world. And then go back 4 years, a year from now, the kind of things that you've been thinking about that are shorter term. I want you to imagine that they've happened the way that you wanted them to happen. See yourself hosting workshops and classes. See yourself creating gift boxes. See yourself doing the kind of things that you know are building momentum. See yourself working on a website, perhaps finding the right kind of premises to work from, and see it happening the way you would want it to happen. And doesn't it feel good to see that version of yourself a year from now making so much progress? And then go back 6 months. 6 months back from then, but 6 months forward from now. And see yourself doing the things that show yourself having left one chapter in your life and have already started a new chapter. But see that chapter as you would want it to be written. Living life on your terms, doing things the way you want them done, not having to get involved in the politics, not being coerced or pressured into doing things a different way, not being controlled, perhaps as you have been in the past. You are now the captain of your own ship, the master of your own destiny. And I want you to see that version of you 6 months from now, relishing life, enjoying the freedom, being grateful for the opportunity to turn your vision into a reality. And then go backwards in time and see what it took to get to that point. The things you needed to learn, the things you needed to do, the new connections you needed to build. See yourself doing whatever is necessary to create a chain reaction that goes all the way into the future, so that as time goes on, you're building a snowball that builds momentum all by itself. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. So observe even those early steps. The early steps where you needed faith because you didn't have all the evidence yet. But see yourself inspired, motivated, optimistic that things will work out fine. And then see yourself in the present. See yourself in the present listening to this audio, clarifying a future that is compelling and desirable and acts like a magnet, attracting you to the most desirable future possible for you. And then step into that version of you. So you're now back in your body, listening to my voice, but taking all of those thoughts and feelings about what your future looks like with you. Notice where that feeling of inspiration is within you. Notice where that feeling of optimism and positivity is within you. Locate the feeling of determination, but also resilience within you as you accept that your future is ideas, and those ideas have given birth from within, enabling you to manifest a future, turning thoughts into actions, actions into results, results into momentum that take you into a future where you get to live a life that's meaningful and empowering for you. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get a sense that all parts have returned to the present, where you're tapping into all of those wonderful resources that give you a feeling that the future you desire is inevitable because you are now unstoppable. Now I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken with all of these resources, with more clarity as to your future, but unlocking everything needed to turn thoughts into reality. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.